Right, you're on the right one.
Sleep. Wake up.
So we're live.
You
don't really need to check.
Thank you. Even
The chair sits.
Namahala Michael welcome everyone. My apologies, but I haven't got the correct whakatauki, so we're going to have to dispense with that. My apologies, because I only found out 30 seconds ago I was chairing the meeting. Welcome to members of the media. Welcome, Evelyn. Staff, there are no members of the public. Does anyone have any conflicts of interest, late items, urgent business? Councillor Finch is an apology, and has anyone heard from Councillor Barron? What do we do there? Just throw it open to you as to who's got apologies. I have got one from Councillor Finch.
Sometimes Councillor Barron.
So, apology for Councillor Finch. Please move Councillor Wheeler, second Councillor Phelps. All those in favour?
Aye.
Those against, thank you. Moving on to Malcolm's report. Welcome, Malcolm.
Thank you, Worship. Our building control report is, we are definitely seeing a drop-off in consent applications. There appears to be quite a shift from new builds to operations. Probably one of the good things about it, we do have an application in now for the replacement hotel down at the South Otago, and it's progressing along quite good. With animal control, probably one of the busiest Christmases on record. There was a huge number of impounding. Like I think when we come back to work, there was like 10 dogs in the pound, which was quite surprising. It has taken a wee bit to sort some of those out, because unfortunately probably half of them were all unregistered dogs as well, so quite a bit to follow up on that. Compliments have actually been an interesting one. I sort of appreciate when people do take time out to actually write a compliment. And there was one compliment that came in that actually complimented the entire team for advice, professional help on how to get through consenting processes. And that was really surprising, because it's not very often you get pats on the back from the public. So, that was really good there. Like I say, levels are certainly slow, but yet for some reason we still have 51 consents still sitting in the system waiting on responses from further information requests. Anyone got any questions?
Councillor Grant.
Yeah, on your dog registrations, I see we've got 3 dangerous dogs and both of them have been registered. Didn't sort of trying to get my head around that one.
Dangerous dogs, like there's criteria about just if you're out exercising, they must be muzzled and things like that. Just because the dog's identified for dangerous doesn't.
Yeah, but it says here we have 3, and it says both of them have been registered.
I just acknowledge.
Yeah.
Councillor Graham just making a point.
Yeah. Yep.
Malcolm said
He's very pedantic.
Councillor Graham.
The Bruce coming out of it.
Yeah.
I will check it out and see why they Bruce.
Further questions, Tony? Councillor McCrosty.
Page 6, 4 biting humans. What do you do with them?
Perhaps that's another one we need to look at the way it's worded. I mean, it definitely refers to dogs biting humans. So.
If there's no further questions, we've got a recommendation back on page 4. Is someone prepared to know? Move Councillor Kennedy, seconded Councillor Payne. All those in favour? Those against? Thank you, Malcolm.
Thank you.
Just your worship between Adita and Malcolm.
Well done, Adita. Welcome. Thank you, Malcolm.
Feel free to sit here, Adita.
Welcome to the front, Adita. The floor's yours.
Good afternoon, Your Worship and Councillors.
It's nice to see everyone in person. I would like to table my report as read and just give a couple of highlights. Just to mention that the resource consents are continue to meet the required time frame, so we are at 100% and intend to keep doing so. A hearing is coming up on the 14th of February for one of the limited notified resource consent. It was mentioned at the last committee meeting. It is a resource consent of subdivision and land use at Com Hay Lane at Tokomouth. And we are asking that council approves Colin Wetherell as an independent commissioner. And just a short note on compliance, two freedom camping bylaw officers were driving around during the busy period of Christmas and New Year, and they will continue to do so all summer. So the numbers are quite high of the vehicles they checked and any non-compliances and so on. And we have received complimentary comment from dock officers because our officers were helping out as well. You could see from the report that there were some difficulties with wildlife, like different seals and so on. And we also received some correspondence from News and Forest and Bird, and we think maybe a review of the vehicles on beaches bylaw. There was a map produced by News and Forest and Bird showing compliance of or protection different councils provide for wildlife, and Cluta is some protection. The best one is Dunedin. So we are looking what the Dunedin bylaw is doing, and that will come up at some stage in the future. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Thank you, Adita. Questions first, Councillor Herbert.
Thank you, and mine's really interested in the ranger, because he's been a busy person, or he or she's been a very busy person over the last few months. The first item on the list there on page 14, it talks about the National Freedom Camping legislation being tightened up. What's that? Has there been a change that, I'm not sure if I'm aware of this, or it says pushback against the tightening of the National Freedom Camping legislation.
I think it only related to the registration of the vehicles, so what the vehicles have to meet.
Has it changed recently?
Yes, it did, and we can send maybe an email around to verify that.
Thank you.
Councillor Grant.
Yeah, through you. I was really impressed by the number of things for subdivisions in the area. It's like for 40 plus units. That's incredible, right? And I wonder, has this all been sort of stimulated by what council's done? It's, I think, like, it's a lot of places. It's a lot of houses.
I think we can be proud of the fact that we have redefined no one touched subdivisions until we went there, but it's great to see in a time when things are dropping off that catalyst is there. Can I say, firstly, Adita, lovely to have you here, and what a great report. A few things, the interactions that we're seeing in the Freedom Ranger, and I saw on page 14, and I started thinking, right, you're way off down the Catlin, say by yourself, it's just coming on dark, and it seems to be that there's a fair percentage in society that just needs oxygen to set them off at the moment. What, like those numbers have shot way up, and consequently the risk profile as such has shot up. Video camera on the head, what way are we protecting those people all by themselves out the what was in the middle of the night?
At this stage, it is the process only, what we rely on, how to approach people, when to back off, basically. But we are considering there were suggestions from both freedom camping officers and requiring a safety vest, what would prevent any injury from, say, someone excited trying to stab, or again, the body cameras, which we started to investigate last year, but didn't get very far, but we are still considering.
It's a sad indictment on our society, but I
Yeah.
think the first priority we should give is to our staff. And following on from that, I know that just prior to Christmas, I was approached, and it was great, the response I had from the staff. Thank you, staff, for it. And also then going on to, I got feedback from many that, gee, it was great that the protection went around the sea lion and the flags and the stairway. So please pass on to the staff that it was appreciated. But most importantly, we had somewhere to go to. And so I thank you for that, because they're precious, and thank goodness we've got a way of responding. So that was great. Please pass on to the staff. Team, anything else before we've got a couple of recommendations and a directive on one of those? There's no further questions. I'm happy to take both. If someone can, Councillor Volwell.
No, I was just going to move the recommendations, both recommendations that we received the report, and that we approve the appointment of Colin Weatherall as the Hearings Commissioner.
Thank you for that. So we're approving Colin, receiving the report, seconded by Councillor Phelps. All those in favour? Those against? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Adita.
Thank you.
Strategic planning, Pete. Welcome, Pete. Floor's yours.
I'd just like to, similarly to Rita, take the report provided as read. I think I'd also like to make a comment of the policy team's thanks for the support we're getting in terms of long-term planning. It's a big process, and there's been a lot of good discussion, and it's sort of now starting to come together to the pointy end. Thank you. I might just take questions, Your Worship.
Ben? Far too thorough a report, there's no question. It was good. Consequently, that's a good report. Who said that? Someone?
I'm happy to move recommendations, no question. I'll see
I'll
you.
just go one more loop for no questions. You're getting let off the hook, I think. Move Councillor Harabin, seconded Councillor McCrosty. All those in favour? You're on your way. You're off with good behaviour. Wendy's given us the building stats there, pretty straightforward. Right. Councillor Herbert moved and Councillor McCrosty seconded. I think they paint a picture, don't they? Let's hope it's a blip and not a trend. Wendy, you have nothing to add to the report?
No.
Take it as read. Thank you. Someone prepared to move the report? Councillor Volwela and Councillor Graham seconding it. All those in favour? Aye. Those against? If Councillor Finch happens to be watching on live stream, that took 13 minutes. Hey.
Late item was going to be done in this.
Oh, yes.
No, it wasn't yours, Wendy. It's the, we're talking about the treaty one.
Yeah.
No, that's in the,
Oh, they sent it to me in one meeting.
should we do that?
You did say that.
I did, regular play, it's a late item. Yes, we haven't finished your worship report, that's fine.
Right, here's one for you, Evelyn.
Sorry, thank you so much.
Right.
We've got copies.
Tomorrow.
I thought we were printing off copies so that everyone had a chance to read it beforehand.
Your worship, could we just adjourn for a second?
Okay, because this is important, so I'll adjourn the meeting for 5 minutes just while we grab the paperwork and give everyone a chance to read it.
It was always going to be in the meeting room to read it. Anyway.
Stopping recording.
Are we stopping recording?
Have you read it? It's just.
It won't hurt. was unmuting the live stream. Has everyone had a chance to read the paper? Sure. Okay, we'll reconvene the meeting, and my apologies for doing that. So the first thing we have to do is I've put forward, or the chief executive has put forward a request to consider the late item. My apology that I didn't take it at the start of the meeting, but not knowing that I was doing Gainer's meeting and then not realising that it was them. Well, it was a chance in 3 that I'd get it wrong, so. So moved was Councillor Payne, seconded by Councillor Herbert. All those in favour? Those against? Then if we could please move to the item. And I'm speaking to my item, following on from this morning when I was describing the fact that our relationship as an organisation, as a council, isn't a casual relationship, it's a more formal relationship, and it's based primarily around the mana and mana relationship between mayor, councillors and iwi Māori leadership. Over the years, it's a relationship that I've grown to be more aware of the significance of, and I really consider it one of the privileges that I have developed the relationship along, and I want to acknowledge and thank Councillor Volwela, who is primarily filled in on my behalf in the Tulupateo, in the Otakau, and we also go to the Waitangi Day, which is obviously this week coming. I think the easiest way to explain the initiative is that I've fronted to the Otago South and Merrill Forum that it's becoming quite obvious that the challenges that are faced by our partner are challenges that they don't agree with, that they feel aggrieved to, and they feel challenged. And there's an old statement, a friend indeed. I think we know which way that goes. And I know in my heart where I stand on the issue. What I am seeking is so that when I go down to Waitangi and the Otago Southland Merrill Forum, combined iwi Merrill, that this will be presented, all councils being presented with this, and you'll see the definitive statement as to where we are. I just need to seek your endorsement. Thank you.
Happy to move.
Thank you, John. Ken, discussion team. Councillor Volwell.
I've seen there's a few emails going backwards and forwards about this for people who have registered to attend the Tauranga meeting next week. And the wording may change somewhat, so I just want to be careful that this wording that we are approving here doesn't actually exclude any alterations that might be made just in respect of the discussions that will occur at the Hui on the 7th. So I've just
Thank you for that, Bruce. I think it is, while this is the iteration that stands at the moment, I know the original one that I put forward was the intent and spirit. There's wordsmithing going on as you try and move 11 councils and 11 mayors in a direction. So it's the spirit of this. I think you get what we're trying to do. And while there might be a couple of word changes, it is the fact that you endorse the relationship and the partnership that we have. I'm going to move in a second there. Do I have any further discussion?
Yeah, I'm just struggling with it a wee bit. I mean, especially on the wording of the intent. That is probably the most contentious at the moment.
Yeah, but, from my point of view, the relationship that started as an obligation when I first became a mayor, and now I recognise more and more the privilege, is based around the treaty signatories and the local government leadership building a relationship based on the principles of totality. That's the relationship I've built, and I find it actually obscene that could be redefined only by one side. If my partners were going into this discussion openly and freely, then I would have a different opinion. they're not.
Yeah, I'm not questioning the council in wanting that relationship. There actually has been no discussion. It's only a potential discussion. But my question is that the wording of the intent, adhering to the spirit.
Yeah. Once again, that's possibly more than a wee bit of wordsmithing, but I know in my heart how I will enter the relationship, and that is in that spirit, because that's the basis of what the relationship's formed on. Anywho, if I can, I will put it to the test. We're going to move her in a second. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against? Thank you for that, team. I appreciate that. That brings it to a close. Damn it, 24 minutes, Councillor Finch. She's looking. Grinder.
We're ready to ask. Good afternoon. Welcome to the first Corporate and Property Committee meeting for 2024. And I'll call for apologies. Finch. Anyone else?
I'm happy to move the apologies.
Councillor Bogle moved, seconder, Councillor Graham. Any declarations of interest? All those in favour? Okay, declarations of interest. Any urgent business? No public forum. Okay, we'll go to the first agenda item, number 1, token amount proposal to build on council land. And I'll ask Sharon to speak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So as this report outlines, we've had a request from a person at Token Mouth to build a shed to put their camper on. And it actually came about because we discovered the shed being built and thought, crikey, that's our land. And so we contacted them and said, and just outlined the process. And as it turned out, they had an assignment of lease, but they hadn't received the actual original lease that told them what they can and can't do. So it was interesting. So they've applied to the permission to do this. And if that's granted, they'll go and get the building consent required and things like that. So because it says in the lease that it needs council permission, that's why it's here for corporate properties decision. Any questions?
Any questions for Sharon?
So the current house that he lives in is owned by him, but on council leased land.
Yes.
So the shed will be treated the same as his current dwelling.
Yes.
Megan Hogan.
Just the protection for council. You know how in 20 years' time someone will come back and there's been flooding and it's your fault you let me build here. Do we have a protection on the cause that you're building at your own risk? Should any natural event occur that you're in a sense to remedy? There is that protection.
Through you, Madam Chair, these leases actually expire in 2029. But in the lease, it also says that it says you can't build things, but it also says that somewhere in here is about.
We can move it. We can make the move.
Yes, we can, if it's mutually agreed. But that could also be a condition of allowing people to build there, or it could be a condition in the new lease. Because that is the point of not setting the leases forever, is to be able to, you know, look at coastal erosion, and it's real.
Yeah, well, in like the changes to climate and the like, I think we should have that clause.
It would
Okay,
also-
if you do it, don't come back and say it's our problem.
There would also be building consent, you know, they'd have to tick that off, and concerns around that as well.
Any other questions?
Just
Councillor
a
Kennedy?
question through you, Madam Chair. Is there something else we can put in place, Sharon, so that doesn't happen? That this, you know, buildings don't start before it should. I mean, that's just a bit of ignorance, isn't it?
Yes,
Sorry.
through you, Madam Chair, when the assignment of lease was done, they were provided a Schedule 2, but not the whole lease, and they probably should have been. But it's also about being a little bit vigilant, because we've just also noticed another one that we're going to have to talk to in a much more precarious position than this.
I just wonder, you know, is there something that we put on this paperwork that if they don't, well, I mean, that can be a cost to them, not us. We start doing some fines and then realise that, well, no, you just don't have to say so. I don't know.
I think that.
It prevents this sort of thing, because there's a lot of that goes on, and people will buy homes and then they find out, oh, it never had a building consent or this, and
I think Sharon's picked up though, through you, Madam Chair, that, you know, that the process can be improved. Certainly, there are limitations, constraints on leaseholders, and we just got to make sure that that information is well advised when they have assignment of leases.
Any other questions for Sharon? Okay, we've got 2 recommendations there. Can we we perhaps take them one at a time, that we receive the report?
Yeah, happy to move.
Councillor Catherwood, seconder. Councillor Herbert, and recommendation 2. All those in favour?
Aye.
Yes. Okay, recommendation 2. Do we have anyone prepared to?
I'm happy to move that we do grant it.
I'll second that.
Councillor Catherwood. Any further discussion?
Oh, sorry, Councillor Graham.
Councillor Graham?
I think because this guy has actually applied to do this, he's obviously following the rules, because I dare say there's probably a lot of structures out there that haven't, so I'll be fully supporting this.
Any further discussion? Okay, I'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Okay. Further developments, quarterly report. Ask Linda to come up and speak to that, please. Thanks, Linda.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm here to report on the last quarter, covering the period from October through to December. I'll take the report as read, but I'll just comment on a couple of highlights. So around the housing, caught up with the Kaitangata Housing Trust, so they are progressing nicely, the builds in Kaitangata, with 3 that they were doing a handover with at the weekend. There's 4 underway and then there's 1 left. I guess what's happening now in the current environment is what is affordable. And so looking at, and that model, especially when their criteria has been around first home buyers. We're also catching up again with the Clinton Working Group, now that the housing assessment report has been completed for Clinton, to look at what steps they will be taking next to progress that as well. Another piece of work that we're doing is that 5 years ago, we undertook a report with the property group, and at that time we were working with some of our major employers around worker accommodation. The report completed at that time was around more of a community worker accommodation model, which at that time wasn't viable. We're looking to do another piece of research now as the landscape slightly changed and looking at, what type of housing models and solutions that would be sustainable are out there now. So we're looking at undertaking that piece of work over the next 3 months as well. We will begin to implement the job destination marketing plan now that we've completed some work around updating some of our image library and messaging. With our job listings, that's business as usual. Just noting that now there are more job seekers than there are jobs. We've also, through ORED, now received Clutha District monthly labour market statistics reports, which might be of interest to Brian and with Job Opportunities. So I can forward these on to you monthly, but here's December's for your worship if you want to look at those statistics as well. So the process works well. Once again, we list jobs for employers, and then we share the jobs across their social media channels as well. Celebrating success, last year we held the Clutha District Training and Development Awards for the first time at Te Poma, which was a very successful event. And there were 23 award recipients last year. The number of participants each year depends on the training cycles. And some of our regular employers who have been every year since we've undertaken these celebrations have had a bit of a gap with their apprentices, but they'll be back on board for this year as well. We continue to subscribe to Infometrics and receive the quarterly economic monitor reports, of which you've got a copy. And we've also just received the annual report for the Clutha District too, which is you can see through it's on our website as well. And then last November we undertook a business confidence survey across the district. And as you'll see from the participants, there's a high participant from our agriculture sector as well. Highlighting what we probably already knew around the feeling around our economy and where we're heading. We also hosted Brad Olsen last year as well. He likes to get out and about and visit the region as well. Within the destination management activities, you'll have seen the large amount of publicity that we've had, positive publicity that we've had around the release of the Story Map app at Lawrence, and we're looking forward to seeing how that goes in the market, and hopefully we'll be able to show it to you all at a later date as well. The new Clutha NZ brochures are now out, or it's currently being printed and will be out in circulation at the end of this month as well. So that's the highlights. If you've got any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Any questions for Linda, please? Councillor Graham?
Through you. Not a question, Linda, but always a pleasure to see you here. I attended the awards night, and I've got to say, well run, really enjoyable. Keep it up.
Interestingly too, just in addition to Linda's, we met with Silver Fern Farms this week because traditionally job opportunities, that's the number one flow of. So backing up what Linda said around that tip, for the first time in 14 years, we've very quickly transitioned from, especially in the entry-level jobs, from having so many jobs and not the people boom in the space of only a few months. So normally we would have around 15 people into work at Silver Fern Farm by now. At the moment we've got none. But interestingly, in that same period, 92 locals have been taken up, and there is still excess people on the books to look for. We've never had that in 15 years. So that's a huge change in the economic and job profile of our district. And consequently, it does impact on our living and working, it's there. So, as always, it seems challenging, changing times.
Councillor McTemney.
Yeah, through the chair, can I go to you on Silver Fern Farms? So did they also discuss how many, so the jobs the local jobs aren't there, but how many people are they employing from outside of the area or have they brought in as immigrants?
Yes, that was the foundation of the discussion. So there was, in June, there was 42 brought in on a 5-year contract. There's been the standard number. That was a new one. Then there's been the standard number. But the surprising one for us was that there was the ability to take 92 local employees to still have more. Only last year we couldn't find 9 employees. Just couldn't find them. So something's tipped one heck of a fast. But that was what we were asking someone. We were looking, still looking, but not finding.
Councillor Bold-Wheeler.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. Just on page 24, it's got barriers and issues hindering the district. And, I notice I've circled around 3 of those barriers. 2 that concern us is local council policy and inadequate infrastructure. I'm presuming the local government policy and government policy probably relates a lot to agriculture. Just wonder if there's whether our council policies are perceived as being barriers to business in the district, and also what inadequate infrastructure might be.
I'll just refer to Trustee Simon.
Sorry, offhand, I can't probably answer which sector that was. I didn't bring the full report with me, but I can certainly find it out and send it to you. It probably does largely come from the agricultural sector. Some of that depends on timing of what frustrations they've had. We will have another section there which may have specified some of the, if there was some specific infrastructure or something that we're referring to. Generally, roads, water, but they are just a generic group of barriers that are asked across a number of business companies. But I'll find out for you and send it more detailed to you.
Interesting to know if we are in any way handbrake. How much of a handbrake we are in this case.
Question. Councillor Martin.
Through you, Madam Chair, yes, I just sort of tend to agree with Councillor Bold-Wheeler. Like, there's some quite valuable information here, and not just around those barriers. And with the long-term plan looming as a council, I'd be interested to see that information around those barriers, because it could be part of our planning strategy for the long-term plan. Because I know, as Worship, he's always saying about the vulnerable and so forth, but to me, the most vulnerable at the moment in our district is our primary industries, because they employ all the people that live in our district, and that showed through at COVID with essential services that kept the economy, the country's economy going. So I think we need to be very mindful, not just of the vulnerable, but of our businesses, our primary industries in our district. So I think there's some real key information here that could help with the long-term planning moving forward.
We could break down through, Madam Chair, we could break down both those sections for you.
Especially around, you've already highlighted there in the priority areas, priority area 1 and priority area 2. So there's some really good food for thought there.
I think that'd be really good if they break down. Thank you. Any further questions, Melinda, please? I would like to comment also, I did do the Brad Olsen presentation, and it is always good to listen to how he does provide us some great information. Thank you.
Thank you.
But a recommendation there that we receive the Development Quarterly Report. Is someone prepared? Yes. Councillor Fouts, a seconder, please. Councillor Graham. Any further discussion? Put to the vote. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Motion is carried. My Debbie, up waiting. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Kia ora koutou, everyone. So through the chair, just 2 or 3 points I'd just like to highlight.
First off, this report, because of the timing of the committee meetings and the fact that we capture all our data monthly, sometimes it's a couple of months I'm reporting on and other times it's one. So this report really is primarily November, December. So it's leading up to Christmas, which I don't know about you, but it seems a very, very long time ago. Some interesting stats with businesses always. In the 5 months up to the end of December, our facilities are still continuing to increasingly be busy, with a total of 44,912 people through our digital door counters in those 5 months. That's across our 6 facilities, the 5 community libraries and the eyesight. It's an 18% increase on the year before. And I'd really like to highlight that because as you read through the report, you'll see a number of activities. And although we use the broad community library term, the range of activities that happens is huge. And just hearing the previous conversations, what we're seeing is we're helping more and more people to access services, whether it's council services, government departments. People walk through the door and we give them a hand with whatever they need. You know, that digital divide is one of the big barriers, obviously. And for some people, it might be as simple as coming to us because they need something scanned and they don't have a printer at home. So they'll pop in and they'll do that and we send it off. But others are much more complex. And you'll notice under the various community libraries, all of those sections are all written by the staff that are there. I just sort of put them together. And they describe the things that are really important that they see happening in their communities. And as you know, each of the communities is different. When you talk about vulnerable, and we're seeing more and more people who I would describe as vulnerable, of all ages, with many, many challenges and often really, really complex. So they don't have one problem, they have multiple ones, which creates many barriers. So what we do really is help people participate in life, actually. You know, whether it's being around other people, whether it's getting information, because these days information is such a challenge, you know, between the fake information that's out there, how do you know what's real and what's not? That's core library role. We've always been in that business of trying to make sure that we have accurate information. And also we act as connectors within the communities. And I think a lovely example, for instance, is the Tapanui Library. They report and hear about the work they do with the local committee that run the swimming pool there. Because we're central, the team are there, happy to help. So we give out the keys and do that sort of thing. So it's just, we help people connect, not just to government services and council, but also other parts of the community. And because we're open 5 days a week, or 7 in the case of Owaka and the eyesight, 5.5 in Balclutha, we're places that are easy to access. And I think that comes across all the time. No one has to make an appointment to see us. They can just walk in and someone will give them a friendly smile and see what they can do to help. On just one point, another point that I've put in here, which I don't normally, I have actually under a couple of sections. Towards the end of last year, staff had the opportunity across all of our facilities really to be more involved in staff development, which is really around increasing staff knowledge of the world outside Clutha, really, in the various areas. So in the visitor information space, there were staff from the eyesight who had never done any of the familiars. We were really lucky, complimentary, so very little cost at all the council. Staff were able to go and visit the main tourist attractions, particularly in the Southland area and Stewart Island, which is really helpful because it's our team that are often making bookings, recommending itineraries for visitors. So staff really appreciated it, and some of the others were pretty envious when we saw the photos, and it's like, oh yeah, what a way to do staff training. And we were also really lucky to be able to send 6 staff to the Lianza conference, which is over 500 people attend that. It's right across the library profession. And for many, in fact, none of our bods had ever been to one before. So they were able to meet suppliers, trade stands. It's a really big deal. And they come back with just a bigger world view. The only other thing I would just highlight too is we're in the midst of the tourist season. So we're seeing a 41% increase in tourist visitors compared to December 2022. Lots of good feedback. The weather's been a bit up and down at different times, but yeah, it's great to see. So that's really it for me, but happy to take any questions, otherwise take it as read.
Any questions for Debbie, please? Councillor Graham.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair, I attended the book sale. When you're having them the next one, because 3 of the books I bought I'd already read before, and I've read the others. I've got 3 books to sell if anybody wants them. So is this going to be the book sale an annual thing? Or is it just when you...
Pretty much. We do, we buy around 6,000 new books a year. And obviously we have limited space, so that amount has to go. So yes, we will. And if there's anything in particular, as such a valued customer, and particularly the work that you do with the apprentices, just give us a yell if you're after anything in particular.
Catch later.
Yeah, Lee Cadogan.
Yeah, thank you for this report. Just drilling in a wee bit deeper, there's now been time at the Balclutz Information Centre to see the different trends. I'd go past when it was the shop in Laconia or the CAF, and there seemed to be a lot of travelling, people that you didn't know. Every time I go onto the new site, there's a lot of people there, but are you seeing changing dynamics and who's coming in, what they're buying, what they're there for? Or is it the same people that were down the street and now going? What's your thoughts? Are we catering for the same people in a different building, or are we catering for a totally different cohort?
I think you're definitely right to a certain extent. It's leaning more towards a different. What we were seeing when we were in the temporary facility was very much a place for locals. We also had a retail range that we're not able to have just because of the type of space that we've got. And people were really keen on that. But we had, because of where we were, it was a place where locals dropped in. The eyesight has always provided access to council services, and that's still the case. That has not changed. But staff are interested to see what will happen when it comes around to, rates time and, whether people are applying for rates exemptions, whether they'll go to Topoma or whether they'll actually might see more up here. We don't know. But the staff are reporting they're seeing a few locals, but lots of newbies, a lot of people. And because our guys are right there on the front floor, they do spend quite a bit of time taking people around the facility, particularly on the ground floor. And they're really enjoying it. So, and the stats have gone up. So, yeah. And maybe part of the foot traffic, the increase in the library, is some of those locals are coming and getting services at the library rather than going there. I think we do know that for people who don't have transport, and maybe on motorised scooters or whatever, it's that little bit more difficult to get to.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Any further questions for Debbie, please? Okay, there's a motion there that we receive the Community Libraries and Visitor Information Report. Someone happy to move? Councillor Kennedy, seconder. Councillor Mackie. Any further discussion? To the vote, all those in favour please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Now I ask Christina to present the Clutha Stars update report.
Thank you. Kia ora koutou katoa. Okay, so in a nutshell, Clutha Stars is about semi-autonomous teams that set their own goals and get training and support to earn rewards and recognition. For me, though, it's a primary level wellbeing initiative because in my experience, stress triggers have been related to poor leadership, communication and processes. We are training and developing our leaders and all staff. The program is asking our people to have a wider view of the way things can be done and work more effectively with others and each other. We're learning to be more conscious of how we communicate and build psychological safety. We are required within the program to build and document our processes with our customers in mind, and also our internal customers as well. So that's each other and our teams. The point of Clutha Stars is to have more engaged staff, more innovation, and better organisational performance. It's an intensive program to go through. The pilot team were fantastic. They had concern that once the training program was over for them, that it would fall over. You can read in my report the support and work we have done to lift this program and weave into the business as usual, including new leadership and a vision that will help drive us to where we want to be. How will we know this is working or will work? The incentives will help, but we will keep our teams accountable via verification and visible reporting. And we will be reporting to this committee on a regular basis. We are really proud to announce that the pilot group, the building control and admin and animal control, have successfully completed the first part of the program, achieving the Bronze Star. I would like to recognise and thank this team genuinely from myself, because they were so open to the program. They really helped pave the way and supported me to make this work. So thank you so much. We've got some of the staff here right now. Ka nui te mihi kia koutou katoa. Thank you.
Thanks, Christina. That's a very good report. In the first instance, I'm going to ask any councillor's got any questions for Christina. Councillor Wheeler.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. Just one of the things with the teams is they are setting goals themselves. We as councillors, the council also have sort of got expectation KPIs and things like that. So it's just how that meshes in our, or should we be getting feedback from the goals that the teams are setting themselves as well, to make sure that the KPIs that we expect as council, that we're trying to raise the bar on and such like, how they might be influenced. Are our expectations reasonable and such like? Probably not explaining it that well, but just the linkage between team goals and council expectations, council KPIs and such like, just to make sure that we're both, we're not trying to do something, expect something that isn't, the teams aren't comfortable with delivering themselves.
Well, I may be able to answer part of your question. One of our objectives is to, we have to set goals that align with our vision and values and purpose. And we do look into the purpose of the council as well. And it has, our goals align with theirs as well. So we do think of aligning the two things together.
But also the KPIs, they're all statutory KPIs as well. So the council, council annual plan or annual report KPIs, they're all part of that. They're not separate or in any way. They are KPIs that are ones that apply, and then there's ones that they set themselves around that side of it, how they're to achieve it. But we're not losing anything from any of the stated KPIs that council has. So it's definitely, first step is it's aligned, and then there's other things.
I guess the question is, like, some of that KPIs relate to timelines when certain things happen. There's a service request and such like, just to making sure, are we being reasonable with what we're expecting, or should there be perhaps some feedback there that some things do need to be altered, that be still reasonable and still meet the standards that we expect and our customers, our ratepayers expect as well.
One, in 2.4, we talk about the objectives and key results. And like I said, we will be reporting more regularly to this committee. So I will be covering those 6 objectives, and we will have the opportunity just to continue to make progress or improvements in that space. So you can have an opportunity to see what we are doing and how we're doing it, and if we need to change anything.
Thank you. I congratulate you on the program as well, and all those people, all those staff members who have taken part and completed it so far. It's excellent.
It's a good start. Thank you.
Councillor Hoover.
Thank you, and thank you, Christina, for your report. A couple of quick questions. So how long will it take to move all the staff through all the phases, if you like? And when that is completed, does it actually stop, or is there kind of refreshers or updates, or is it a bit like a community plan where it's continually evolving? So my first question is, how long does it take you to start through, and then does it actually finish?
We hope that the team would reach this silver star in 6 months, and then it may take a bit longer to reach that gold star, but it is a continuous thing. It doesn't stop. You have to continuously make goals and be achieving them. For the entire organisation, we have the full plan, which is we talk about in my paper. That will take 3 more groups through, and then we will still have to make plans for next year as well.
We should have all the leaders through this year. So it's the entire leadership of the organisation will have done it. Teams will flow into the next year as well, because obviously there's a lot more people in teams. But also to add to Christina's bit, there's 3 components. It goes through the training, both leadership and with teams, and then it's looking at the performance framework, which is developed the performance framework. That's what the bronze award is. It takes a while to get to that point. And then it's gathering the evidence and delivering the performance and measuring that performance side of things. And that's why we talk 6 months or more as we are building it. Some of the indicators have just been created. So, you've got to get benchmark information first and then look at the trend of the improvement. But the improvement is an ongoing improvement requirement based on evidence. And we've got plans in place if staff move and shift and other things to do refreshers in that side of it. But once they've gone through the program and they're on the space of measuring their own performance, that's an ongoing process to which our intention, our expectation, and the expectation of the team is that they will be demonstrating and advising of that performance measurements as a result.
Thank you. My apologies, Steve will probably bang his head on the table after trying to explain stars to me, and I'm possibly getting my head around it a wee bit better, because I did see it as a more work-specific organisational development, the goals. But the triggered point was when you said psychological safety. Start to think. So thank you firstly for looking at the social awareness side. And then from my perspective, I've got to consider the well-being and also the personal development for the councillors, which I've probably failed at woefully, if the truth be known, because there hasn't been an avenue. Do you think that you could tailor or develop some aspects of this program to give some personal development support? Could it be a program for the political one? Because I've never ever seen a personal development program that's been, we did hearings commissioners, that was no use. Institute of directors didn't really fit. and yet the pressures that we're going under, the challenges that we're presently facing, maybe there are aspects.
I'll probably help out here, Christina. I don't see the Clutha Stars program and the approach applying to elected members. It's not an off-the-shelf approach anyway. It was like we did a lot of sort of tailor-made for us. But what that also says, Your Worship, is that like anything else, if it's tailor-made, there can be a tailor-made something for elected members depending on what elected members want. So, the first part of that would be to work with elected members around what is it that's missing, where they want to go, noting that the political aspect of it, the way that you are elected and how you're accountable is absolutely miles apart from what we are responsible for and accountable to in that sense. So that's why I say tailored. Anything can be done because we've just proven that in terms of creating programs. It all stems from getting around and deciding what actually it is that you want, and we're more than happy to support that because that's what our job is anyway, is to support.
There has been in recent times, like 5 years ago, I wouldn't have probably ever thought it wasn't required, but around the personal well-being, the psychological safety, the interaction engagements, the world's changing, and we have got we're getting information, organisational information, but on that other personal development or personal protection, we're not. So I had to ask, probably not there, but not.
Councillor Graham.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. If you have a change in leadership, so how's that going to work? If, say, this person does not align with your thing, or say every new person you have to sort of put through the training, or does the existing group sort of help mould them, or what?
Through you, Madam Chair, we already have in place, new leaders will go through the leadership program. That's a given, so that's not a problem. And the control we place is really around recruitment, isn't it? Recruitment. So when we recruit, we are recruiting deliberately on the basis of, skills, experience, behaviours and attitude that reflect where we want to go with this program. So we are, confident that the approaches we've taken for recruitment, including our new leaders, and even a recruitment for any position, we are seriously looking at cultural fit. Is really, really important. Short of making the odd mistake like everybody could make, the intent is that the people we recruit, fit where we're heading with the program. So we're confident on that side. Okay.
Any further questions for Christina? Councillor Martin.
Through you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Christina. Just a couple of questions. So management are obviously at organisational level are very supportive of the program. Are you getting much pushback from any of the teams? Like, have you got staff members that don't really buy into it, or is it pretty good? Everyone's pretty welcoming, or you had any experiences of pushback, or?
I think it stems from lack of understanding of the program and what to expect, and there have been those questions about or having that genuine belief that it's going to work. So there has been a little bit of that, but from the stats that are in the report, we have asked the team how they felt about the program, having gone through it, and they were generally pretty positive. I feel confident that the team felt like we're moving in the right direction at the end of it. And if we had have done a survey at the start, I think, there would have been some different answers in those questions that are in your report. The teams that are coming up next are really, really excited. the managers are aligning with the vision. They're talking to their staff about the vision. They are getting them excited to participate. And we are seeing some really good results from the current team, the pilot team who's just gone through. So, yeah, we've got a lot of work to do in front of us. We're not always going to have people who are on the boat. But hopefully we can support them to be on the boat and enjoy it.
Because I can actually see the model you're creating. It could be turned into quite a bit of fun and be competitive amongst the teams, and there could be a lot of good banter and
You've
so
heard that
forth.
in the current team, in the pilot team, from a few of them. Well, we're going to get this done first, and we're going to get on top of things before you. So that's it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so obviously you're probably going to drag those other sceptical people in without them even knowing, and they're coming up with positive outcomes. So that's good. The other question I've got for you, I just see in your framework, you identified the key components, and in there you've got customer. So the customer being the ratepayer?
Could be. So each team will have different customers. We have to think about who we deal with, or who we are working with. They are customers, ratepayers, and they are also our internal stakeholders as well. So it is important that we are working and removing silos within the organisation. They are our customers.
Yeah, they are our
We
customers.
have to be able to work together, and that's part of the whole program. And we do talk about that in the framework.
And would one of the components be ownership? That the staff actually take ownership
It's a big
of
component.
the customers, like of our communities?
It's a big component of the entire program, taking ownership. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Keep up the good work.
Yes, through the chair, just coming back to the question about, Steve mentioned about if you're looking to employ people or team leaders that will fit, is that potentially a wee bit risky in that the team may have ideas and working well, but you're restricting someone perhaps to come in there and maybe shift it to a better path?
So the way the program is envisaged, the leader will go through the process with the team. So what you're probably possibly describing is after a team has gone through the program, they lose the leadership side of things. What we find is it's the other way around. The team are zooming ahead, and we've got to make sure that the leader is up to scratch with the program so that they can fit in with where we're heading. So the recruitment picks that up. They become priorities to get into the leadership program so that they don't have a situation where they are outside that side.
I'm just thinking, but could there be conflict if you had someone who's potentially very, very good, who wants to pull the group a better way, but your team is focused on going that way?
Yeah, I think the principle, you got to remember the principle when we say semi-autonomous and all that, leaders and the teams, which have the knowledge, have got the information and the experience to identify, and the innovation, how to get that performance improvement. So I would expect if somebody, and what we're hiring, we're hiring different people with different views and that sort of things, but they're all part of the same, it won't be a situation where anybody will come and change the direction. They will come and the direction will move with the flow, make some minor adjustments or whatever, and they will be fully contributing to that. So semi-autonomous in that is really where all are involved, and we move away from leadership direction, running everything. So it is important that the new people come in with new ideas, but they will meld that into the process. Right? So we won't lose innovation from new people coming in, because that's not the expectation. And that I don't see that as an issue in that way of thinking.
Christina, I think it might be a good time to bring the staff up that have just,
Well, is it the leader, is it?
well, the leader, the whole lot, come up and receive their bronze award, but definitely the leader, but actually why not the whole staff come on up and you've all been part of it.
Oh, it's gone, Sue. They might not.
Hold on, on the hammer, hold on. Yeah, stick it.
Just wait till they all get up here.
Just while they're coming up, I mean, this was a big commitment from the departments, like when they were doing the training, and it's, you know, we actually closed the shop for training so that they were fully committed to do it. And these sessions were like 4-day sessions when you get to the end of it and you can see people absolutely mentally, I'll use the word knackered, and because they're fully engaged in that. So, and that was six of those processes. Then they had to go through Women Christina's workshops as well, and they weren't easy in that in terms of what's being thought about. And then the leaders had to do it all again or do it separately, and through the leadership side of things, equally demanding. So, you know, and then they had to create the program for what they're going to be accountable for to you, the ratepayer, and everybody else. That's been completed, and that's that first step. So it really was a big deal in terms of what they've actually done. And it's the first one, pilot, but we've got there with this team. So I'm very grateful to them for their participation and commitment as well. And I did it because I needed to see what was going on. So did Christina, and that we were all part of that same process too. So we got to understand ourselves, and we got to know a lot about each other as a result. So there you go. Thank you.
Well, Malcolm, on behalf of councillors, and congratulations to you and your team for being the first ones to receive the Clutha Stars Bronze Star Award. Very fancy in the department, and well done. And thank you for taking on board and doing it. I think, yeah, good one. Thank you very much.
I must say it's really appreciated to receive on behalf of the team. There is seen a strong improvement in psychological safety. I mean, anyone can ask yourself, I'm good at putting my foot in my mouth. And so there's definitely been improvements in that area. And that's across the team. When it comes to goal setting and things, it's really good to see the realisation of some of the goals that have already been set. And we're seeing the fruits of that already. So I really believe the program is starting to make a difference. And also we do hear feedback throughout the building that they've noticed an improvement in our area. So that's really good. Thanks, team.
Okay, we have a recommendation there to receive the Clutha Stars update report. Councillor Payne, seconder please. Councillor Bounce. Is there any further discussion on that report? Okay, so, motion, all those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, motion carried. Move on to item 19, item 5, the community support. Thanks, Lily.
Hi everyone, through you, Madam Chair. I'm going to take the report as read, but I've just got a couple comments that I'd just like to make before doing that. So for the Youth Council, I've had progress with the recruitment, and I've also got 2 Blue Mountain College representatives, Sophie and Holly Crawford, so really excited to have them on board. And yep, so still just working with Lawrence Area School, Telford, Toko, and getting one more workplace. So please just keep spreading the word. Applications are still open until next Friday, so big on that. The Tuapeka County bursary under the funding schemes, just an update, we've got 13 applications as of close last Friday, so that's really awesome. And finally, just an additional fund that I didn't quite include in this report was the Youth Council's Youth Development Fund. Just to note that that opens on the 26th of February and closes on the 25th of March. So advertising for that will start at the end of the month. So if you know any young people that are looking to do something, go on a course for their leadership or literally just anything, that's the fund to look to. So otherwise I'll take as read and answer any questions.
Thanks, Lily. Any questions for Lily? Councillor Volwela?
Just regarding youth development, award, do you have any flyers or brochures or something that you put up in places?
Yep, so for the Youth Development Fund, I'll be getting advertising and flyers and things out to all the schools and local newspapers, etc., and up on Council's Facebook once the fund opens at the end of the month. So, yeah.
Any more questions for Lily? I'd just like to make a comment on the Cactus program. I've actually seen a full report from this that Lily's done. I've actually asked her to send it to all councillors because it was very interesting. Obviously, very well received from those that participated. So, I think well done to the Youth Council for getting it behind there.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll email that out to all of you in the next couple of days. So keep an eye out for that.
Okay, thanks. So we've got a recommendation there to receive the report. Someone prepared to move? Councillor Kennedy, seconder. Councillor Herbert. Any further discussion? Put it to the vote. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Management accounts reports. Trade.
Kia ora everyone. I'm just happy to take it as read and answer any questions.
Any questions in the tray? I know this was well discussed this morning at Audit and Risk, but anyone that wasn't present has any questions? Okay, so we've got a motion there to receive the management account reports. Councillor McCroskey, seconder. Councillor Volwela. Any further discussion? Put it to the vote. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Investment portfolio update. Greg?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Also take the report as read. If there's any questions or discussion.
Once again, any questions for Greg? It was also well discussed this morning at Audit and Risk, but it is good to see our investment return up at the 8.17. So let's just hope that continues growing to the year end.
Zero. 3 years, Madam Chair. Is there an update for January? Like we've got the figures lifting just lately?
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. It shouldn't be here probably the next couple of days, probably early to mid next week, I'd expect here. It's usually around about the 4th, 5th or 6th of the month. So, yeah, so it should be here next week, hopefully. Yeah.
Through you, Madam Chair, Councillor, there's a hierarchy here. I see it, then Brian gets to see it. Mayor Brian wants it pretty quickly, and then we get it out. We're all interested in it.
Oh, yeah. We're in February.
Just smiling.
Any other questions for Greg? Okay, we've got a motion there to receive the investment portfolio update report. Someone prepared to move? Councillor Payne, seconder. Councillor Mackie. Any further discussion? To the vote, all those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Motion carried. Now the development properties update report, Greg.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, the main change from last time was just the settlement of the 3 Kaya development properties. That was in December, just before Christmas. And that was for 52 Needle Street and 32 and 34 St Catherine Street. So sale proceeds for those were 521k, 407k, and 425k respectively. Apart from that, take as read, unless there's any other questions.
So just to also add, Madam Chair, just a couple of things. One is, Greg, can you just say what those three proceeds were again, please?
Oh, yep. So it was 521k, 407k, and 425k based on the cost of developing those properties.
Yes, so what that's reflecting is just the sale price. And the only reason why I'm highlighting it is that question around affordability. So the Kai, those last three ones were sold at those prices. Obviously, they're different type of houses and other bits and pieces, but you know, things have certainly moved from just over 300,000 or something, or 350 we were talking about, and that. But also, as I said, to be fair, a lot of it is because the couples that are doing it are wanting a certain amount and then can afford that that amount. Just highlighting that. And the second thing is just an update on Rosebank Industrial, which hasn't made the report. Is there's a couple of sections that are we've approved the sale of. So basically, including you know, one of the more difficult ones that is down the back, and that. So basically, once that happens, we should have all sections sold at Rosebank Industrial. So that's good. And the other thing is we have had positive movement in the consent process and the legal process around contamination. And I will be reporting where we are with all that at Public Excluded Council meeting coming up on the 15th. So just to let you know that there have been positive movements, and I can report on those in detail on the 15th for you. That's it.
Steve, any further questions, Councillor Wheeler?
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. Just regarding with the Kai house and land package, the sales there, what sort of valuation is now placed on the sections? Is that able to be divulged? Was this the land package?
Or what would be the QV approach?
Through you, Madam Chair, QV was here the other day and actually said that a section in Kai is going to be sitting. We haven't got the values yet, but they did say around about 60,000. So they said, but we don't know for sure, and they're not the final values, so we haven't got them through yet. They have been steadily climbing.
Thank you.
We were purchased in the last lot at 35.
No, through you, Madam Chair. When we were purchasing the 10, it was average value of 40. And I remember when we first started, we were talking sections at 5,000 and 20,000 many years ago.
Not that many.
Councillor Martin.
Through you, Madam Chair. So is that including services at the section, what QV was saying? Like,
Just the section.
yeah, but the services are running past those sections.
Correct.
Any more questions for Greg? Perhaps just got one. What's the completion date for Rosebank Terrace subdivision? Is there a proposed completion date here?
Madam Chair, I think because Rosebank Terrace is a Cat A project, and would have normally been reported on to this week, but we were unable to do it. There is a project manager, may or may not be in for service to the next committee, and that. But Donna, the manager, may know as well. You can ask that question.
I just wondered. No, thank you. Any more questions? Okay, we've got a motion there to receive the development properties update report. Someone prepared to move? Councillor Von Wheeler, second Councillor Herbert. Any further discussion? Put to the vote. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Now, IT report from Skulk.
And just through Madam Chair, as Skulk comes up, we're just also letting council know that with the structural change that was identified in the Clutha Stars report, There'll be a report to the council meeting on the 15th for a redistribution of activities to committees, and consequently also a request that we change some committee names with that redistribution, and delegations that need to catch up as a consequence. So we're just pulling all that together. This is the last one in its current format, but we also took the opportunity that, hey, here's another activity under the arrangement, should be reported on as well.
Thanks, Scott. It's all yours.
I think I took the opportunity to just maybe introduce us, who we are and what is our purpose here at Council. What we do, the short is, the story was we had to do a massive digital transformation since 2016 to catch up to modern day technologies that everyone will be expecting and experiencing. And there was quite a bit of a start, and I started off small, but had to grow to assess all the needs and expectations of our ratepayers and what everyone will be expecting today to work for. Previously, we had some challenges with investment into these kind of solutions, but we were able to, fortunate, get really great individuals to be part of the team, so that we were actually able to catch up to the rest of the world in this last 7-8 years. And I can confidently say that we've caught up and leading in some areas as well. That is due to what I've mentioned there, the staffing. We are really fortunate to be able to actually have these kind of people that wants to live and work in the district and fully committed to what we're doing here. Some of the shorter achievements that we've created there, you can see what we've been able to do. These are not really small feats. That is also mainly by external parties that has nominated us for what we are doing here and how we're doing things. That has not been the norm out in the world. Again, the reason why we can do this is because of the people that we've got here, and then the support, to be honest, from council and the management for us to be able to do this. Key focus areas, a bit of a summary there. Again, we've had a bit of a chat today in audit and risk about the cybersecurity challenges. This is the key focus for us. Underneath, it doesn't impact a lot of people, day-to-day activities, and that's exactly what we have to achieve, not to have to impact anyone. So if this just happens under the radar. Then we've got a big one that we're doing our financial system upgrade and also our regulatory system upgrade. There's been lots of challenges of these kind of upgrades and solutions and projects out in the world today. I don't know if you've seen lots of the news and articles about the risks and the challenges and the costs associated with this. We've been fortunate through our partnerships and our things to really de-risk this and then have a bit of a different approach to the solution that we believe can set the standard for the whole of New Zealand going forward, so that we don't spend lots of money and keep risks and no delivery being done in this. How can we do this? It's just because of the people, and then it's also our partnerships and the support that we get from you and the management. But that is a key focus areas for us. You'll see there also the challenges. It's basically the same reflection. I think one of the key things there is we've noted the staff. It is the challenge is the retention of the staff and the skills availabilities. That is for us a key focus. We're really making sure that we look after the people. And we want to help them have a good experience working for us. In today's world, most of these technical people can work anywhere they want to, and it's making sure that this is a place that they want to work for. Yeah. Any questions?
Thanks. Any questions for Scott, please? Councillor Bolwell.
Just on page 82 under key challenges, there's just, you've got disruptive technology, AI, artificial intelligence, and ML.
ML is machine learning. So it's basically what we see today as AI is advanced form of machine learning. So that is where the machine teaches itself and adapts and learns. That is a challenge that we need to be aware of. It will come more and more into our lives, how it's going to disrupt it, how people will be working, what people will be expecting. I think the worst thing out there is actually misinformation that these kind of tools can and provide to people out there. So we need to make sure that we counter that with quality data and accuracy.
Scott, any further questions for Scott? Okay, there's a recommendation there to receive the IT team report. Somebody prepared to move? Councillor Kennedy. Councillor.
I can second that, but I just wonder perhaps this committee should also just acknowledge the achievements that Silver's team have won last year.
So perhaps we could change the recommendation to receive the report and acknowledge the outstanding
achievements.
Yeah. So you're happy with that, Councillor Kennedy? Councillor Bolwell, seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Okay, Sharon, last.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Unfortunately, I don't have any outstanding achievements in my report today. But I do have something coming. I have something coming up. So first of all, it's just sort of the meetings we've been attending. You can see there's quite a big focus on long-term plan with the IBIS Breeze as a software we're learning to use, and audit meetings and consultation document meetings to get everything to you guys for the 15th. Also, one of our staff has left since our last report, Jennifer. She's decided to go back to vet nursing, and we have appointed Gaynor Soper internally to this position. Gaynor came from a financial background, so she wanted to go back to the financial area. And then my gold star's coming in point 3. We're the next cab off the rank to do Clutha Stars, and I'd say the team's really excited about it. The only time you might get a funny comment would be around uncertainty, as Christina alluded to, and then you just have a discussions and it's like, yeah, we can do this. And that's coming from a diverse range of people in my team. What else? And I've talked about the long-term plan. And then this report now also has the general grant fees reimbursement rates rebate scheme incorporated into it, which Sonia's in charge of. Other than that, any questions?
Questions for Sharon, please. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sharon, this long-term plan, is it giving you some grief or what?
Yeah.
Be honest here, mate.
Through you, Madam Chair, it's a swear word. No, it's actually going pretty well. Like, we're putting in a new budgeting system and stuff, and it's actually enabling us so much more to be able to do more stuff. And yeah, it's going really well. It just takes time to get through things, and you've still got your business as usual to the side. So it's a matter of juggling a few things.
Balancing, yeah.
Yeah.
And your team, everyone's pretty supportive. Like the
They're
PSA
amazing.
workload is quite intense on you guys. So
They're amazing. We just split it all up and off we go. Yeah.
it's great to hear. It's really good, encouraging stuff.
Any further questions for Sharon? No questions. Well, we've got a recommendation there to receive the corporate finance team report. Someone need to move. Councillor Volweiler, second Councillor Martin. Any further discussion? Put it to the vote. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. And before I close the meeting, I just would like to say thanks, Sharon, to you and your team. I do realise that it's very busy at the moment. Get this long-term plan out of the way. I know there'll be something else, but thank you very much. I now close the meeting.
certified class, Madam Chair.
Okay, that sounds fine.
So that's 15 minutes, isn't it?
So it costs you about $300 in full. Oh, we've still got 4 minutes.
Looking for money.
Oh,
The Last Supper of the Service Delivery Committee. First one for the year. Any apologies? There's one from Councillor Finch.
Moved.
And there's none from Kevin, so, moved by Mayor Dogan and seconded Councillor Leadham, and all those in favour?
Aye.
Any declarations of interest? No public forum. We'll go straight to item number 1, which is an item for information, the organisational performance report, service delivery. Jules.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Happy to take the report as read. It's just one thing I will note is that for some things there are a very small number of requests. So if they miss, or if there are 0 requests as well, then they end up with a 0 performance. So there might be one or two. One in particular that I'd be very surprised if council properties that went from 100% to 0. So we'll have to just double check, but I suspect that had no requests in December. So the other thing I will comment on is that we do have, obviously, the resolutions. We haven't got that system in place with our Three Waters contract, so that'll be part of the new the tender that'll be. We're hoping to have signed up for a 1 March start, which Linda's working on with the team. So happy to take any other questions through you, Mr. Chairman.
Questions? Any questions? No, if not, have someone prepared to move the recommendation on page 3 that the Service Delivery Committee receives the organisational performance report. Councillor Herbert, second Councillor Payne. Any further discussion? No, all those in favour? Carried. On to page 7, another item for information, the group manager's update. It's Jules again.
Happy to take this last report that I'll be presenting in this position as read through you, Mr. Chairman.
Right, questions, Councillor
Thank
Herbert.
you, Your Worship, through you. Through you. So you had a meeting with Toyota, Jules. Was that an early Christmas present, or was that?
No, it was more about them saying how long their lead times are for their vehicles. So yeah, for some vehicles it's 18-month lead times. For other vehicles it's they expect it to come down, but
it was all over. No, surely.
No, you try to get a 11-seater high ace van, and you're looking at least 12 months for a brand new one. But yeah, so yeah, it was a catch up with the local rep, well not the local rep, the national rep, and he was giving us an update on issues like lead times, but also new vehicles that are coming in. Like they've got a range, like the new Utes are only going to be hybrids coming in later this year, as well as a range of electric vehicles, which we sort of said to them at this stage in our district. The price for electric vehicles at the moment is cost prohibitive, as well as our sort of charging networks. But we'll look at those in conjunction with our climate change response that we're looking at through the LTP.
And we're sort of aligned with them through the procurement process, aren't we?
There's a number of suppliers, so all of government procurement includes Ford, Toyota, and Mitsubishi. So, as well as a range of other brands, especially with electric vehicles, there's a much wider range of brands. Suzuki's on there as well, so most of our local dealers are actually represented. It's just that not all of the what we would normally procure is available through all of government. Nissan, for example, is not part of all of government. Thank you.
Right, any further questions? Councillor Martin.
Through you, Mr. Chair. 18th of December, Jules, did you have a job interview?
Yeah. I was interviewing someone for one.
Oh, right. You were interviewing, so I thought you had a job interview.
Well, there's more on the 13th as well. So
yeah, there were interviews.
Yeah, no, we were interviewing for the positions that we've announced over. Actually announced just before Christmas as well as after Christmas.
Right, any further questions? If not, Councillor Payne.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just as far as the Taylor Park site visits, Jules, I've driven past a couple of times, and I'm actually not proud of what I'm seeing there at the moment. There's a lot of grass and stuff around those huts. Just wondering about timeframes getting that all timed up. I'm sure we're going to take a bit of a beat up over this.
you think?
Well, it's not real pretty at the moment, is it?
So just jumping in, the mayor passed on same concerns. And we had already asked for some solutions to be put in place, like mobile planters. They're in train, but there was a suggestion around just a clean up. Stacey saw me that morning. He's got it in his notebook, and he's organising to get the weed eater out and just do what we need to do for those. We can't remove the safety fencing, unfortunately, but we can certainly clean up around the safety fencing and things. And then Jules has also got, part of the other problem at the other end is the work with the fire service, isn't it, Jules, and where we might go and what information we have got around where can we go with remediating what we need to remediate.
Yeah, we met with the local fire chief and team sort of lined up to meet him again after Christmas, but he was on holiday. He did indicate at that stage that they were looking to move their event to Balclutha, which potentially could be why he didn't get back to me through most of January.
That's great.
All right, any further questions? If not, someone prepared to move the recommendation? Councillor Payne, seconded, Councillor Phelps. Any further discussion? No. All those in favour? Carried. On to page 9, yet another item for information and the operations update transportation facilities.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this has been pulled together by the members of that team, and we've noted against each item who's put that information together. So happy to take that as read, and if I can answer any questions, otherwise I'll inquire as to the team and bring it back to you.
Councillor Catherwood.
Yeah, just two questions concerning Catherine's Waters. Wouldn't want getting an explanation on the pothole that keeps returning, that keeps getting resealed year in, year out. Quinnalia Road before Jacks Bay turnoff. I'd like to know more about that because that happens every year. Are we paying every year? And also an inquiry on today coming up, the road that they lifted on the Unlooker Highway before Glen on the Roo turnoff. Getting a big add-on.
Yeah, so just through you, Mr. Chairman, Councillor, can we keep the questions to the report related information?
Yeah.
And if there's service request or service performance related specific issues, we welcome those, but can you direct them please through to me or Jules outside this? Because that's my understanding is that the committee isn't about that, but we do want to address your concerns, but we don't want the committee to turn into a list of service request related issues.
So if
it's just an explanation.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chairman, the pothole one would be one that would be a service request one.
Yeah.
The area wide is what you're talking about before Glen Oamaru, and it's actually a capital project, so we can hold that one over for Donna.
Yeah.
Which is the one where a contractor didn't perform and they're having to do rework on that area. So it didn't meet the specifications. So Donna will be able to answer that and I'll put more information in there. No, in your capital delivery report.
Councillor Herbert.
Well, sort of on that same vein, there seems to be a lot of road bleeding at the moment, and so I wonder, that's not really a service request thing. Is it worth highlighting to staff, or do they see it in the normal course of events? Does it get reported as particularly bad bits around? Last month's been quite hot when there's been logging games. There's roads that are just two tracks of black. Is there any point in us highlighting it to anybody, or is it?
Yep, absolutely. Through you, Mr. Chairman, they should be service requests because where that's bad, we actually go and grit them to try and stop that becoming a road hazard. So they should definitely come through as a service request and then they'll be addressed. And it depends on the age of the seal and all those sorts of things. And obviously, if we get very hot weather, we have much more bleeding. And also if there's heavy use like silage trucks or forestry vehicles. So they do get gritted as a service request response when those are things happen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Number 4, green space, the never-ending Nash Park duck pond. So I'm getting a fair bit of jippo on it with someone. I haven't been down there, but they said it's the worst they've ever seen it. Have we got a plan B game?
Just to update, I talked to Stacey about this at the start of the week, and he said it's just about right. Because we turned the bore off and went back to pristine Balclutha treated water at a low level, sort of a couple of cubic metres a day. And again, it could be the time of the year where it's particularly bad. And there was testing done on that water on the bore before it was commissioned. But like in most other places around Balclutha, it does have high iron, which does, I mean, it's definitely discoloured, but it looks like it's got a whole lot of stormwater in it when it goes that colour. So yeah, it is the gift that keeps on giving.
Councillor Wheeler.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chairman. Just item number 3, the road safety. It's a road safety action plan that's been completed. Is that available? Is that required?
I don't think it would have been provided to you the day before yesterday, so that absolutely will be available. So we'll get that distributed.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
Just a couple of questions through you, Mr. Chair, to Jules. Jules, item 1, the health and safety report there, third party driver behaviour. So who are the third party people?
So a third party, for example, if you've got a roading contract working on a site, so we're one party, the contractor's a party, and then it's the public driving through it.
Right.
So that's it's following the guidance and the speed limits and those sorts of things through sites.
Yeah. And the other one is under 2, the roading. I just experienced there pre-Christmas, a few of the rural farming communities were saying about the spraying. You must spray the road edges, and that they didn't die. Was that I thought I was asking the question. So what actually happened there? Was it a failure with the chemical, or?
I'm not sure, but we have had it reported in a number of areas that it hasn't been effective, and the contractor's got to go out and respray those areas.
Right.
Any further, Councillor Phelps?
Just following up on Councillor Martin's, number 1, health and safety. If an incident does happen, who does it blame? Or does it come back to us by any chance? Or?
Oh, look, what would happen would be there'd be an investigation. So with our own internal health and safety investigations, if it happened on a work site, there would be an investigation into that. And then I'm sure if there was someone who wasn't obeying the speeds or whatever, then the police may be involved to action that as well. So, I mean, there have been deaths on work sites around the country in the last few years. So it is something that's been especially highlighted and is being monitored and reported back on by our contractor.
So do the contractors actually report back to the police on any near misses, or is the right number plate down? Or?
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to confirm that. That would be something we'd have to get the team to advise on. I'm sure they'd be involved if there was an accident, but potentially, yeah, not necessarily for other incidents, but we'd have to check with the contractor.
All right, any further questions or discussion? If not, do I have someone prepared to move the recommendation on page 9? Councillor Wheeler, seconded Councillor Ludeman. Any further discussion? No. All those in favour? Carried. On to page 12, yet another item for information, operations update, water and waste. And Linda, it's all yours.
So through you, Mr. Chairman, we put our decision items at the start, so if there's no decision items, then there will still be.
Yeah, but I like to say.
Okay, right, just making sure.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I'm happy to take any questions, otherwise I'll take the report as read.
Questions? No, you just want to get on to another one. So if not, someone prepared to move the recommendation on page 12? Councillor Herbert, seconded by Councillor Wheeler. Obviously no further discussion because there was no discussion before. All those in favour? Carried.
Thank you.
Page 17.
Saving it up.
Infrastructure strategy update.
So I will more than happy to do this as a tag team effort, as this is part of Donna's area now as well. So, I'm nothing in particular I want to highlight. unless Donna wants to highlight anything, I'm happy to take that as read through you, Mr. Chairman, and answer questions.
Could, yeah,
Councillor McAtamney.
through the chair, Jules, that draft speed management plan, so where are we at, all that stuff we've done with the council, where are we actually at? Is that just parked?
Yes, it's effectively parked with the changes the new government has made or signalled. There's still value in the information we've got, and there are still opportunities to put some changes to speed limits in place. It just can't be blanket speed limits. And we really need to wait until the new rule is released, and then we'll be able to still use that feedback and see how that relates to the new rule and progress that. But at this stage, we really have to wait until that detail has come out from the government.
But we would still like to possibly do something if we can.
Oh, absolutely. It's just that our framework in which we'll be able to make changes is likely to be significantly different than what we proposed under this framework. So we're going to have to see whether we have to consult again, because blanket speed limit changes are now off the table. We really have to wait until we see that legislation, then we can make a call if we need to do more consultation or we've got enough info there.
Brian.
Thank you. 1.3 Lawrence Stormwater. At Lawrence Community Board the other day, they were discussing about the stormwater runoff down. Is the team talking with the community board, because that was the specific issue they brought up there, just so that we're not missing the liaison?
Yes, we certainly are acutely aware of what the concerns are with the community board, and there's been an update that's been put out from Di today back to the press about that. And we have stressed that we want that Colonsay Street area done as part of delivered first and then deliver the other stuff later on. So we can look at that and bring that back to the community board in terms of options for work on that as the first priority.
And then the second one was following on from Councillor McAtamney. I went and saw Chris just at the lunch break to try and ascertain what the cost was, because Jocelyn and her team put a lot of time and effort into that. I know a lot of councillors put a lot of time off work and that, and I was just wondering, although I wouldn't say Chris was entirely on board with the concept, but could we send a letter to Simeon and ask for a refund, please?
You need to know how many hours I put in there.
Quite a few, I'd imagine. It's just toilet paper now.
Not expensive.
You got a response to that, Jules?
Nah.
No, I don't.
Councillor Phelps.
Just through the chair on 1.2 regarding the water treatment. Took 5 years to do that reassessment. In the last reassessment, has there been anything identified of urgent nature that you know of?
Linda, are you aware of that? I know in that time there has been scaffolding up to try and deal with the issues. So there's been some temporary improvements to deal with some of those risks. But we definitely don't think a new rebuild is required, which is what the original recommendation was. But there's certainly some work to be done on that, so we can remove the scaffolding in its permanent structure. But Linda might have more detail on that.
The only detail they do have is the team were consulted about whether we were in favour of creating a diving platform of some description of that. And we're not in favour of that. We think there's inherent danger in having people jumping all over assets, because we don't know then what happens in terms of damage. And we also may be liable for any other injuries that take place.
Which that was my idea, by the way, because it's used like that for now.
It was a good idea.
They're going to use it whether we build it or not.
Yeah.
That is the point, that knowing the use of it, they're going to find a way to do it, so maybe we should find a way to make it safe. Because if we don't, they'll do it. There's a throng of kids down there.
Donna's got some more.
Put a note up that we're not liable or something.
Use it your own.
They read all that.
Through you, Chair, that's currently the decision is with the Health and Safety Committee. We're waiting on that formal decision to come back, and then we'll make it go forward from there.
That's it done.
Councillor Kennedy.
Through you, Chair. Jules, just wondering, have our schools been sent a notice about the speed things that it's not, so that they're not worried?
Not at this point, but potentially we could we probably need to do some sort of public notice because people have submitted expecting something to happen. So we do need to do some sort of advice that this is where it's at.
Councillor Mackie.
To what Simon was saying on these safe speed limits, I would have thought, irrespective of what the government is saying, that the speed limit around Waira South should be reduced from 100k to at least 50k around the Iwi Township there, past the school.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I absolutely don't disagree it shouldn't change. However, the rules about how we change and set speed limits are unclear at the moment. So as soon as we have those rules clarified, then we can put that in place. We've had this feedback from the wider Hoona community as well. It's been that situation for a very long time, and as soon as we get that clarity, we can look to make those changes.
Right, any further questions? If not, someone prepared to move the recommendation on page 17, that the Service Delivery Committee receives the infrastructure strategy update. Councillor Kennedy, seconded Councillor Phelps. Any further discussion? No. All those in favour? Aye. Carried. On to page
26.
On to page 26. The capital delivery update. Donna.
Good afternoon, everybody. So just take the report as read, and if you have any questions.
Councillor Herbert.
Oh, so to answer the question earlier in regards to the reworks required, interesting you've raised that today. We've actually requested a defects meeting with the engineer to contract, which is actually happening tomorrow, because we're in the position of potentially signing back half the retentions. I asked the roading operations contract supervisors to go out and assess every single site, and they've come back with some defects. So now we're doing the next step, and we're disputing this before we make any further payments.
But Glen Omery Road was the area wide that we've been getting down or over, which didn't meet the spec, so that was reworked.
Yeah.
Councillor Herbert.
Through you, thank you, Chair. Great report, Donna. So I've got two questions, please. My first one is 2.1, the Glen Kenneck Water Scheme treatment upgrade. It says we are now in the defects liability period. Do we have a list of all defects?
No, so through you, Chair, what happens is once a project is oh, don't you? No, okay. Once a project gets to the defects liability period, that it's normally a 12-month period, and it's almost like a bedding in period where, you know, things could move, things could need tweaking and adjusting. There could be minor issues, hopefully only minor issues. And in that time, that's when the retentions or the bond aren't released. So that gives us up to 12 months to go back to the contractor to advise them of the issues and concerns, and they repair them at their cost. That's what that means, yeah.
My second one, and it's just a bit of a curly one, but 1.9, we're talking about there's two bridges there on Ross Road in West Otago. I'm not sure if you're familiar. And I Googled it. There's only one Ross Road in West Otago that I could find, and it's a dead-end road that goes into Earnsville Forest and is locked by them with gates. So my question is that actually a public road? If it's not, why are we fixing a bridge on it? If it is, why is there a locked gate on it? I've got a photo of it. I might have the wrong road. There could be two Ross roads. I don't know. But the only one I know of, and I can show you, it goes straight into Dusky Forest. And there's only one entity, one company that are allowed to use it or use it.
Through you, Chair. So that's a fair question. We should only ever be doing work on public roads and public assets. So I can go back to the project manager and we can confirm that information for you.
I'll catch up with you in a minute.
Yep.
Thank you.
There is a Ross Road in the Hopperton area. There's a funny boundary with West Otago.
That could well be it. That could be the issue.
But we can double check that for you.
Thank you.
Councillor Wheeler.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chairman. Just back to the 2.1 with the Glen Kenneck treatment plant. It says there that the as-bills are yet to be provided to council. should, and it's in the defects liability period, but should provision of the documentation and as-built be sort of included, should that be required before they are released from that defects period as well, and no payment made until the full documentation is provided as well?
So through you, Chair, absolutely. And in our new contracts, we've actually made that as a stipulation. It's one of the contractual clauses that we will not release full payments because historically there were issues with getting as-built within a timely manner.
Has that occurred with the North West treatment plant? It's not contractor has done the work, but it's not performing to standard because the operations manual.
I'd have to look into that for you, but this is something that we're really hot on now because we have discovered that there has been lag times in deliverables of as-built, which is not acceptable.
So we are introducing retention periods.
We've always held
We've
retention.
always had them.
And bonds.
But just to clarify, there's practical completion, and then there's the end of the defects liability period. So we've changed now, I think, Donna, to have as-bills required to keep practical completion.
Correct.
Which means that they basically don't even start their defects liability period until I've supplied them. And then your defects liability is, you always have a list of defects to be sorted for practical completion. And as Donna explained before, you've got a 12 or a different period for that bedding in period. So it's usually part of retentions at that point, or bonds released and then released again at the end of the liability period.
Councillor Cathwood.
Through you, Chair. Just on 1.2, contract 860. There's just a bit more detail on that. Completed that contract work when you were asking for additional dust suppression traction seal. Is that the same area, or where's that to go? Is that pre-approved?
Through you, Chair, this was actually approved in a report to Council just on the 8th of December, I think it was, where you allowed us the flexibility to be able to do variations to contracts so we could deliver this work within budget and on time. So we've done a variation to contract to Clearwater Civil, and this because they're currently working in this location, so it's more cost effective for council because they've already got their machinery and equipment and team there.
So Clearwater's doing it.
Oh, sorry.
South Road's doing some as well. Yes. So that was the original locations that were approved by council.
Yeah.
We went out to tender for.
Councillor Lederman.
Just on 2.2, the hub pump station, once the everything's been done, the underground cabling and everything, will there be some will that car park actually be tidied up before the winter? Because the other night when I was down there, it was quite holdy and stuff. So, I mean, I accept this work to be done down there, but will it get a bit of a tidy up before winter to make it a bit safer?
Through you, Chair, we could potentially look at that, but currently the budget's available, that is from year one, but we can certainly have a little look-see and potentially see.
I get it. It's,
Right, any further questions? Councillor McCrosty.
2.8, contract 845, Milton Main Street. We've got a real issue with one of the little businesses.
Okay.
So, because they've gone back and redone the pipework twice, for 3 months between the 2 years, the business is over halved in its take. It's from 36,000 down to 17.
Sorry, which one are we talking about? Milton Main Street or the Tapanui?
Milton Main Street.
Number 4. Thank you. Yep.
And just thinking, I know it sounds horrible, but we really need to do something to try and help pacify some people through there. This has been going on around this intersection, around the RSA for months. And there's just a few businesses there that is just unbelievable.
So through
There's no parking, there's no anything. The other day, there was 8 people standing around looking down that whole for 8 hours with not a machine operating.
So through you, Chair, this is the first I've heard of these issues. So maybe we can touch base to get the details following, and I can go back to Grant and have a discussion from there.
But we can clarify through you, Mr. Chair. The matter has been raised, not at your level, sorry, Donna. Matter has been asked about. We advised through Grant, so I can update that Grant has said that by the end of by a week, certainly in time for Valentine's Day, for the particular business that we might be talking about, that the parking will be back up, and the work will be completed around that space, and then the issue will be, after the event, because it'll be after the event. You're talking about concerns and impacts associated with historical times, right? So the key is to ensure that the works are finished so that they're no longer impacted, and that's what we've been assured that a week. It's quite a key target to achieve. They're dedicated to, and then it gives time to be able to say, well, the business needs to make a case, and then we look at what options council has based on that case. But it's always difficult to address things from information provided to us third hand, and it's always important that the affected business provides the information to council, and then we look at what options we have as a consequence of what they provide us. So that's the update. We're focusing on making sure that we stop the problem, and we have a time frame that we're intending to stop the problem by.
Thank you. Mayor, can I-
Thank you. Just following on from Councillor McCluskey, and I appreciate the work he's put in with this issue. So I do believe there are extenuating circumstances, and there's been an extended period of time where this business interruption has really affected the person. So Dean and I went back and compiled a list of grievances or a possible option, and we bring it back to you, Steve. Is that it?
I really don't like third parties providing information to us, because we need if the business says, my business has been interrupted, in good faith, I'm not suggesting anything otherwise. The business says, my business has been interrupted, for X number of months, and my financials have been affected thus. And they tell you that, it's still, with respect, not much help to me, because we should really be saying, show us the evidence so we can look at it, measure it against what our involvement is, and all this sort of stuff. Tell us the dates, we match it to things. I honestly just say,
So
please.
it won't be third party, so if I can, Dean and I will go back and the letter will come directly from the person. I just want, we go back to get her to lay her case out of grievances. Possibly we could assist in,
You have to remember, Your Worship, you may be a decision maker.
Yeah.
And so you need to remain, it's part of the independence aspect. It says our job is to receive the grievance, the complaint, and that you could certainly, assist them to ensure that they provide it.
Yep.
We then do the homework because we are accountable to you, right? And then you make the decisions, and that's why you can't get involved in too much of that generation.
Yeah, appreciate that. It was just the situation being and the personalities involved, they were reticent to be fair to say that they wanted assistance. They did not. So we'll work it out and we'll keep arm's length.
Suggestions might be, Milton Harve might be, there might be other people not in your position that could assist them, produce that information. And we can certainly help by getting them connected to us in the first instance to say, we'll be able to have follow-up questions and whatever. So that's always our suggestion.
Right, any further questions? If not, I have a recommendation on page 26 that the Service Delivery Committee receives the capital delivery update. Someone prepared to move that? Councillor Colwell, did you move that? Yes. And seconded, Councillor Ludeman. Any further discussion? No. All those in favour? Aye. Carried. Right, on to page 35. Compliance update report. Kieran.
We actually did have Greta to help with this, but she's just stepped out of the room. So she won't be far away. So Greta's been involved in drafting this, and it's within Linda's team. So we will give you some bad news to start off, though. We have had a non-compliance just emailed through while we've been in the meeting about the Waihola discharge time. So we'll get our team on to looking at that and look at what happened. So it's one that we obviously didn't have time to put into the report, but we'll deal with that one staff.
Quite a lengthy report this month, so lots and lots of detail for you. So I have spoken to Kieran about that so that we can create a dashboard for you going forward, so you're not swamped in the detail, but can have a look at the red lights and the green lights, and then look for the detail that you might want to know about. We did have one boil water notice lifted on Purua, which was good news after nearly a year, and obviously we've still got some more that we're working on.
Infringement notice? Sorry, abatement notice lifted?
I haven't got to wastewater yet, I'm still on water.
Councillor Colwell.
Just on page 38, just over halfway down, it says E. coli not detected in Waihola distribution. The free valent chlorine were below the required 0.2 milligrams per litre, but were they above the 0.1 milligram litre?
It's probably a greater question, but let me just have a look at the result. I can't tell from the immediate information in front of me because the levels aren't reported. We'll wait for Greta. Can we move to the next question? I'll come unless this is her.
Right. Any further questions or any questions?
Greta, can you just, yes, I'll introduce Greta. This is Greta Campbell, who is a compliance engineer within our compliance and reporting team. So we've just got a question around the E. coli levels in North Bruce. FAC.
It's failed because it's below 0.2, but I think if it goes below 0.1, that's an even worse scenario. So to take it that it still was above the 0.1.
Not too sure what the question actually.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, there's a boil water notice on for that scheme anyway, so it probably wouldn't elevate any other response, even if it was below 0.1, because there's a boil water notice in effect.
Is there anything below the 0.02 is not compliant?
And perhaps just another question, there's a new storage tank on the North Bruce scheme, which is not yet in use. Will that help with the contact times when that is
So contact time depends on your flow rate and how. So your contact time is made up of a couple of different calculations, including the flow rate in and out of the reservoir and the level you can maintain in the reservoir. So I suppose my way of saying, like, you can have the storage as long as we can keep the reservoir at a reasonable level, then it will improve the contact time. Storage is a massive contributor to maintaining that.
It's 5 times as much storage there is.
And we have had a meeting with the capital delivery team about getting that reservoir commissioned. They wanted to do it kind of at the height of summer. We just said, sorry, we're not going to fiddle with the water scheme while we're going through summer. So there may be just a few weeks delay in getting that going. Or we'll look for other ways to get it or trickle feed it for a while. Just don't want to impact the supply to the scheme because we're trying to fill up now with a big tank.
Another question on the North Bruce scheme. At present, water is gravity fed from Megaburn, and there's I suppose it's a break pressure at the probably about the halfway mark there in forestry. There's essentially a pond there which the water's feeding into. It's an open pond. Would that have any influence on the ducks and animals, bird life that use that pond and such like? There's also plant life growing on it. Would that be contributing to the MTU, higher MTU levels of that? If that was bypassed, would that be a possibility of improving the water quality into that? Bruce?
I don't know that that's been considered, but we can certainly ask those questions of the treatment team. We have checked that pond today because we have to monitor the level of it to make sure, given you draw on it, looks pretty good.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chairman, it might actually make it worse because that'll mean any turbidity spikes in the creek would be coming straight through to the treatment plant. I do know when the pond has gotten low before, it has caused issues, a bit of sediment and that's been stirred up. But it may, like ducks and that sort of thing, I wouldn't have thought would be, it would be worse having the flow going directly there than having it sort of settle down and calm down a bit in that pond before it comes through to the plant. But, yeah. And there's been a bit of work directed from the scheme committee to improve the security of that pond as well, fencing and trimming back of trees and bits and pieces. So I know that the team's been working on that, haven't they, Linda?
Thank you.
Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. And sort of further to my question this morning, Linda, and Jules has kindly given me a report that I haven't had a chance to read yet, but we had 3 or 4 pages of the rules and regulations at the start of this report, which was riveting reading. And we're sort of fully staffed up now. But one of my concerns is that it's almost like the regulations are moving faster than we can keep up with. We've got pages and pages of read there. It's almost as soon as I get the UV monitor in there, I have to have a better one, or as soon as I get something in there, I have to have a better one. Do we foresee a time when we're actually going to sit here, relax, and have all our treatment plants compliant?
I'd hope to say yes to that question.
I hope you would too.
We've got a lot of work. We know that we've got a lot of work delivering this year.
Yep.
Especially with Greenfield. We've got a lot of reliance on that to obviously kick a few schemes off their boil water notices and give them quality water. North Bruce, we've now got an action plan to adhere to, which is in that document you've had today. Moa Flat needs the same kind of
yes, please.
Focus as well. So different operators, so we can certainly get the same process underway and improvements to see where we get to with those recommendations.
So as far as the fast-moving regulations go, are they slowing up, or is it just the world we live in now?
I think they've slowed up. We haven't had any changes since January last year.
Right.
That's right. So, but it is time to get your head around what's required, order equipment, all of that stuff takes time and effort.
Yeah, that's what I mean. By the time you get all that done, it seems like requirements of the goalposts have moved again. That's I'll look forward to the ensuing reports. Thank you.
Okay. Just to touch on wastewater. So we've had 3 infringement notices with our Happy New Year present from ORC on 3 plants where we've already got upgrades underway. So we felt a bit aggrieved about that, but we've had to take that on the chin. The upgrades will be all completed in April and May. One of them will take a little bit of time for results to come through, but yeah, we expect those not to see those infringements again. We do have abatement notices on our biofiltro plants, and we've had an extension for 5 of those plants through to June, and that's based on our improved results. So we expect to have full compliance on 5 of those plants by June. Milton, they declined our request for extension, which we've gone and appealed because we've also got improvement in the results there. So we think they're being a bit harsh on the response, and they are going to be doing an audit of Milton in the next few weeks. So it's kind of just a continual round of checking in on us. So we'll see what comes out of that audit. Hopefully we'll get a better turnaround on the audit reports, because OIC, the last audit reports on treatment took 8 months to get to us, which is a bit, a bit slow to get things going when there's significant non-compliances and it takes 8 months to get to us. And Tapanui, we had the abatement notice cancelled, so we've achieved full compliance at Tapanui. So, one piece of good news.
Councillor. Another one then. So page 64, we're talking about wastewater treatment plants, it talks about Heriot. It says discharge parameters all compliant, yet there's 6 red boxes there. And there's nothing applicable about any compliance.
So I think this is the December report, so December is all green.
So you don't worry about the ones prior, right?
Yeah, because they would have been commented.
No, but we do worry about them because it takes time for the,
Drift off.
for the compliance.
Yeah.
To become fully compliant, it's got to be, we've got to have those greens for a period of time.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, any further questions? No? Do we have someone prepared to move the recommendation on page 35, is it? Brent, is it page 35? Move Councillor Ludeman, seconded Councillor Herbert. Any further discussion? No. All those in favour? Carried. Okay. On to page 66, the community projects update report.
Unfortunately, Mike isn't able to make it today, Mr. Chairman, so between Steve and I, we'll endeavour to answer any questions, and if we can't answer them, we'll make a note to discuss with Mike when he's back.
I thought you were going to say you can make it.
No.
Right, any questions for Jules and Steve? No? Too easy. Oh, Councillor Kennedy.
Through you, Chair. Probably the wrong place, I don't know, but the one place to put it in. I think it was last night or on the news, talking about waste, like Mount Kui and that. So when you see them do all the recycle bins elsewhere, the glass is going into the actual same bin as. So do we need a separate bin?
Yeah, interesting point. And what's been found when that happens is that actually, if you have broken glass commingled, quite often it contaminates the paper and the cardboard. So, and this has certainly been an issue in Queenstown, and they were. So you get much better value out of your paper and your cardboard recycling if you do have it separate. So yeah, it's a trade-off. And if we're going to be going and being processed with a nearby processing facility, aka Dunedin, then we have to do it the same way as them, because otherwise they won't accept our recyclables for processing. So yes, you can do that, but it comes with a downside, although you save a small glass collection.
Thank you.
Right, any further questions? If not, recommendation on page.
I'm just going to ask a question.
Oh, another question.
I'm just probably asking a question to staff. I don't really know how to ask it. I mean, I've been asked about projects that we haven't undertaken for the airport, following the Airplace and Valclusa consultation from Ratepayer. So how do we actually get out to them, perhaps, because this is quite good, but is there a time where we do perhaps a media release of where some of our projects are actually at as far as the Airplace consultations go, so that the community are aware of what's happening, where we're at, and perhaps why we're at where we are? Because in some cases I feel as though we have probably had to stall a few things because of financial obligations elsewhere, but we've gone and done the Air Place consultation. So why don't we report somewhere to the community as a media release or an annex and the council newsletter, or because it really isn't part of the long-term plan, but somewhere communicate where all of our place community consultations are at, because this was really good to get a across the board look at it, but actually our communities are asking the questions, so how do we do that?
They can.
Well, we can.
I'll answer that. They can access this information online. See these spreadsheets.
Or if they, through you, Mr. Chairman, we could send them a link to say, here's the latest information, or here's the latest report. The other thing that we have talked about is, well, we've got a few more community plans to do, but just looking at Balclutha's in 2017, if we're doing these on a 10-year rotation, well, we're only 3 years away from redoing Balclutha's.
I'll be able to apply to get the riverbank done.
If you want to do it on a 10-year rotation. So through you, Mr. Chairman, too, we also do have we have on our projects page on our website, we have our community plan pages and bits and pieces. So yeah, more than happy if someone wants some information, we can either send them information or direct them to the right place on the website.
Well, before today, I couldn't have directed them to the likes of this.
You've done it a few times, haven't you?
Not to this extent.
I know down at Kai that Mike gives a good rundown at the Kai promo, but that's, and they pass it on, but I'm not sure about the other communities.
Through you, Mr. Chair, just wanted to note that that is on one of my lists, is to actually create a community plans page that shows what we've achieved and what we're working on and what's yet to go. So, yeah.
Thank you. I'd appreciate that, because I think all councillors have been asked. We've had an email to this regard to be here. So.
Councillor Phelps.
Yeah, that's through the chair. It's the same email that I think some of the things that person was asked about, like the lights on the bridge, for example, that has been, it's not on the list because it's been put to the side, not quite as such. But so how does that get explained to them? You know, like it's still there, but it's not actually here.
It's, well, through you, Mr. Chairman, it's not an active community project. So it was considered and isn't an active project at the moment.
Yeah, but it hasn't been forgotten about. It's been sort of put to the...
It's gone.
No. It was put, still left for a community group to take up.
Yes, that was the point. The key point, Mr. Chairman, was that they're still valid projects. All the thing we did was that we weren't proceeding with it because of funding, but it didn't stop somebody else that wanted to fund it to proceed with it. So they're still existent, those projects.
And I think, if I can, sorry, I think that was the crux of the question from Rachel was, where are we at with the stuff we haven't done? That's what you wanted to know.
But that's not on here though.
Yeah, no, that was the question that came through.
Mr. Chairman, just for that, I mean, what we can pick up, and we can just ask this, is, you know, Mike's giving good updates on what has been done. If you felt that you wanted a report next time, let's say on a particular community, on what isn't being done and why, they're valid questions, and they can be, those reports can be requested, and you know, we can report on it if that's what you want. I mean, just the one.
Just as long as even if we can direct them to access to something. But if Ty's prepared to do something, I mean, there's probably other people out there in the community or in other communities that are wondering where their consultation is at. So I just think it's good communication, good public relations.
Councillor Mackie.
On this closer, the project status sheet for the hall, it's got project completed, and if you go down to the central toilets, central retail toilets, it says completed there. Well, if you look at those, and Alison brought up about the asphalting of the car park and what have you, whether it could be done. It's by far not finished, and the destination toilets are the same, they're a disgrace, it's not finished. For you to put it as being finished there is a oxymoron.
There's different things, through you, Mr. Chairman, there's different things. The report is correct. The funding for the hall is complete. The streetscape works says it's to be completed, and we've already reported that to you, and there's a funding question, and it's part of now the LTP. The toilets, the destination toilets are complete, they're being built. The streetscape works is a different project. That's a funding question that you're doing through the LTP. So the reports are correct. The fact that it's a disgrace or there's work to be done, I mean, that relates to the streetscape works that is a subsequent project. And we're saying to you, we love to have it done too. But as you know, we discussed it at workshop and said, what are we going to do with this? Because we had some financial constraints and issues. But you made some calls on where we want to go with it. And we are scheduling in the LTP to complete them. They're just separate projects.
Councillor Herbert.
Well, this is a really interesting discussion, and I'm going to make a point. And this is a great document. It wasn't so long ago we sat here, and there was talk of West Otago's outplaced plan wasn't moving fast enough, and there was one or two councils who wanted to withdraw the funding. If we look at a lot of these ones, and Milton in particular, is 7 years old now. There's $20 million set aside, and we spent 1.6. So if there's any future talk about pulling funding from communities that are moving a bit slow, we'll have another look at this report.
Yeah.
Just my point. It wasn't that long ago we sat here, and there was one or two councils talked about pulling the $220,000 from West Otago because we weren't spending it quick enough. Hardly anyone here spent their allocation. But just let communities get on with it. That's just my point sitting here. I know who you are.
Yeah, Johnny.
Well, can I just acknowledge that what I think probably might be a record for the outplaced plan is the near completion of the boat ramp in Clydevale. Done by a group of locals, and there wasn't a road cone or a high vis vest inside.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yep. Coming under budget too.
And they look great.
Yeah, 9 years ago, number one, the Clutha Community Consultation Project was the walkway on the bridge, which effervescent group of volunteers self-funded. Still nothing's happened. So are we able to get a report from ORC for the next meeting? Because if they're not going to do it, I'll have to do a verbal submission to them or something. I haven't got a clue where ORC is. They wrenched it off.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, we have been in contact with the RC about that, and we're wanting to arrange a meeting with them to discuss how it can be progressed, because I want to have discussions about maintenance and those sorts of things.
Can I come to it? Because if I miss this LTP, I won't be here for the next one.
Yeah, we'll.
You can always come to any of our meetings, Your Worship. So
Slot me out.
Jules will make a note of that.
I'm surprised he doesn't already.
Right, any further questions? No, good. So is someone prepared to move the recommendation on page 66? Is that right? Councillor Mackie. Seconded. Councillor McCrosty. Any further discussion? No. All those in favour? Carried. And that's the end of this. Is the last meeting of the service delivery. I don't know what will be called next time. Probably a bunch of something. But thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have some answers to those questions, so I'll
Be the soonest day.